I am your host, FatDag, and you're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at FatDag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, that's right. Welcome to episode 79 of Wise Advice. And man, it's always an honor to be hanging out with you folks on Facebook. And for those of you who are listening to the podcast, you can kind of join me on Facebook. You can join it after the fact over on YouTube. But the Facebook crowd is great. Here we are, Eastern time. They're tuned in, they're rocking and rolling, they're all working the plan and killing it because they're staying focused on their goals and staying mindful to the process. So shout out to all of them on Facebook who are in here every night, tuned in, ready to go, and they kind of get me pumped up before the show. It's an aspect to the show that, certainly it adds a time component to it for me, but more importantly, is I believe that interaction piece is what we're kind of missing in a lot of this stuff. And so, honored to be here with those folks who are hanging out on Facebook. If you're one of them, great, hang out for the show. At the end of the show, we'll come back and we'll wrap up live on Facebook as well. But certainly the podcast reaches a lot more people and it gives us the ability to listen on your terms, not necessarily 11 o'clock at night in the evening time. So we're going to open up with Lexi. Lexi writes in and says, "Hi, Mike. I know that you're a Weight Watcher leader. If you run out of topics, it would be nice to discuss what the weekly topic is. If it's against the Weight Watcher rules, maybe something from a past week. I know as an online-only person, I'd appreciate it. And since you're my wingman, I did make 10%, 2 weeks later than I thought, but I kept the lifestyle going and I got rewarded." Lexi, outstanding job. 10% is one of the first goals that really proves that you have the ability to do this long term. It means you're focused. It means you're disciplined. It means you've made it through a handful of weekends. It means you weren't perfect on the plan at some point. At some point you faltered and you picked yourself back up and you kept going and you persevered to get down 10%. If you reach 10% weight loss in your journey, you've heard me say this before, if you reach 10%, you absolutely have the ability to get to goal. If you noticed, when you got to 10%, we didn't say, okay, now that you've got here, let's start a new program. Let's try these tools. We didn't do any of that. When you reach 10%, we said, okay, great. Do that again. Keep doing that for the rest of your life, and then you will hit goal. So great job on that. You absolutely have the ability to make goal, and I want to see you do it. Now, as far as the topics go, it's kind of interesting. I certainly don't want to compete with the Weight Watcher meeting room. I believe, as you followed along as well, I believe the meeting rooms are somewhat sacred. I believe what happened in the meeting room is special, and I'm one of those folks. I need the meeting room for my own personal accountability. That combined with the fact that we do the show somewhat daily, so I would run out of topics real quick. But my intent is not to replace your meeting or replace what you're doing. It's to add to all that. So I don't want to, I'd hate to pretend to replace your meeting atmosphere. I know you're online only. I think we rely heavily on the emails that come in. You tell me what you want to talk about. I'll work it into the show. And that way, this becomes an independent show and doesn't necessarily be tied to whatever the Weight Watchers folks do. And I also think I have to dig into it, I guess. I also think that to some extent that the information that they share is theirs, and to use their terms specifically, I don't even want to get into that mess. So don't know. But I think, it all relates. And I think we hit just about every topic that's out there anyways. The most important topic being, why did you join? And stick with it. So thanks for that. Aubrey writes in, she says, "Hi, Mike. I need to check in and have someone hold me accountable. And I know you're just the guy to do it. I have just listened to episode 76, and I have to say that I fall into the perfection trap that was described by the listener that emailed in. I felt that as she was describing me in her email, I believe I put the perfection expectation on myself. I am a Virgo, and their firstborn child perfectionism has always been a part of my life. The expectations I put on myself are often unrealistic. When I fail, I beat myself up and I fall completely off the wagon. It's counterproductive, I know. I haven't been to a meeting in almost a month. I've been busy, but deep down, I know that is an excuse. I could have found another meeting to go to, but I didn't because I know I was going to see a gain on the scale. I went out of town last weekend with the best of intentions of staying on track, and when I slipped up, I threw in the towel and I went on a binge eating spree the entire weekend over the 4th. I feel like I have been double whammying myself between the perfection trap and the complacency trap. If it isn't one, it's the other, and on some really tough days, it's both. I've been playing with the same 5 pounds for over 4 months, and I know this because of these two things. After listening to that episode, I have decided that I am going to take the bull by the horns. I have written down my why. I have made an attendance goal to go to a meeting at least once a week, good, bad, or ugly, and I'm going to track like a newbie because that is what got me to almost 60 pounds lost, and that's what's going to get me to goal. Even if it's ugly, I'm going to go to my meeting on Saturday, and most importantly, when I'm out of points, I'm going to stop eating points. Thank you for all that you do. I had to play catch up on your podcast, and that one hit me right where I needed it. Aubrey. Well, Aubrey, you got a lot going on in your email, and I got to say, I love every piece of it. You've explained a lot. So let's start with the obvious. You're 60 pounds down. So that is exactly when the complacency trap certainly wants to set in, because at 60 pounds down, that's phenomenal work. You have to feel better. You have to look significantly better. At a 60-pound weight loss, people who see you regularly now have begun to notice. Whether they say it or not, they certainly have noticed. So you're doing absolutely fantastic work at that point. Now, being the firstborn and an only child, certainly not, firstborn doesn't resonate with me per se, but I understand that mindset of why you want to feel like you're perfect. And why the perfectionist trap gets in the way. A lot of the firstborn, as a parent, the firstborn is where everything has to be perfect. You look at any baby album of the firstborn and there's a picture of them doing everything. Look at the baby album of a secondborn child and there's a picture of them doing most everything. And you look at a picture of the thirdborn child, there's no pictures at all, right? So I understand why, as the firstborn, you want to fall into that perfection trap. And you're absolutely right. It's an unrealistic expectation. You absolutely can't be perfect. You certainly cannot be perfect on this weight loss journey. So you have adopted an all or nothing mindset. And so we have to break through that. When you get to the point where if you can't follow it perfectly, you don't follow it at all. And you just heard from the previous caller or the previous email that said, they reached 10%. And same with you, to get 60 pounds down, at some point along the journey, you had to stumble. I don't think you can hit 60 pounds down with a absolutely perfect attendance through the entire thing, perfect tracking, perfect meal planning. It's going to be very difficult if it's possible at all. So you had success with 60-pound weight loss with some struggles in between. That right there teaches you that if you never give up, then you can sustain this for long term. Now, let's talk about your meeting attendance or lack of attendance. And you said you haven't been to a meeting in almost a month. I understand that. Now, that's obviously, just like you said, that's an excuse. I love the excuse when I hear people, I'm busy. I'm too busy. Well, think about it this way. And the next time you think you're too busy to do something, if I handed you right now a winning lottery ticket and say, I'm too busy to go cash this, could you cash it for me? I'm pretty sure you'd figure out a way to clear your calendar and you'd get it done. Now, if you couldn't clean your calendar for the next day, I'm pretty sure somewhere in the next 7 days, you could squeeze that into your calendar. So that's the benchmark I use to determine, am I really busy? If I got a winning scratch ticket, a winning lottery ticket for a handful of thousands of dollars, would I have time to go cash it in? Yeah, you bet you I would. So that's the benchmark, because you recognize that it's been an excuse. And especially what I notice is a lot of people is when you want to skip the meeting, it's absolutely when you need to go the most. And in your case, if you think you're going to see a gain on the scale, what we try and do, we try and play a game with the scale, and we try and say, I'll skip this meeting. And then what I'll do is I'll track really well for a week. And then I will go to the next week's meeting, and then I'll have a bigger loss than normal. No one will ever know that there potentially was a gain in there. Now, what happens almost always is when you skip that meeting, you lose a little more of your focus. And then the second week does not work either. The third week is even worse. And there we are a month into it, and we've skipped our meeting. So, you absolutely are on the right track. You're setting your attendance goal. You know that when you're going in this Saturday to weigh in, whether it be good, bad, or ugly, it's absolutely not ugly. The fact that you're showing up, that you're intentional, and that you're trying to follow the plan to the best of your ability is not ugly at all. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see that you want to take care of yourself, because one of the things I say is you weigh the same whether you hop on the scale or not. The scale is just a number in relation to where you are that day. Whether you get on the scale or not, the number is the same. Now, if you know the number, you can determine if you like the number, if you don't like the number, and then if you don't like the number, you can devise a plan to have the number change. You can only do that if you go and get yourself a number. Now, to those of us who are perfectionists and want to try and be perfectionists, the one thing you may have some success with is perfect attendance. Don't skip a weigh-in for an entire year. That could be a goal that you can measure yourself against. That's one that you absolutely have the ability to maintain. You have the ability to win it. So go get it done. Can't wait to hear when you reach your goal and bust out of this trap that you're in, because you have the ability to get it done. That's how you lost 60 pounds, is by doing that. So thanks for your email. Stacee writes in and she says, "Hi, FatDag. I'm sure you get tons of email and can't answer them all, but I have a question you may be able to answer on the podcast. I notice people posting 100 days of whys on Connect, and I can barely think of one. What is your opinion of coming up with 100? You are so logical and explain how to work the plan in such an understandable way. I did get a lot out of setting performance goals instead of time goals, so thank you for that. Thanks, Stacee." Well, Stacee, yeah, I do get a ton of email, but I absolutely love a ton of email, because that's how this entire show operates, is without email, I got nothing to talk about, nothing to share. So continue to send them in. Don't be afraid of that. I will work them in as the time approaches. Now, let's talk about the 100 days of why. As we know on this plan, every single person has to find what motivates them, what keeps them engaged into the process, what keeps them wanting to work it. If you want to write out 100 days in a row of why you want to lose weight, why you want to follow the plan, why you want to get blue dots, you absolutely can do that, and you should do that, and that should be your message to do it. I personally cannot do that for a couple different reasons. Number one is I think I really only have one why, and I think the other 99, if I were to find them, would certainly all point back to the number one for me. So really, I have one why. I've shared it more than once. That's essentially what it is. Everything else kind of points to that. The other reason that I am not participating in that certain is if I could come up with 100 different whys in the first place, I'm not going to remember them all. If you asked me what was day 73, I wouldn't know. If you said what was day 26, I wouldn't know. I would have a hard time coming up with them in the first place. I would not be able to remember them. And if I can't remember them, I can't stay focused on them. My intent is to figure out what my number one why is. What is the number one reason I do not ever want to fail a PT test ever again? What is the number one reason for me I want to be healthy and be able to be physically fit for the rest of my life? That I can remember. And that when I come up to a food choice that isn't the best and I have to make some decisions, I can say, would I rather have this and never fail a PT test again, or would I rather not have that? And so I get to make that choice based against my one why. If I had 100 whys floating around in my brain, it may be easy to kind of get distracted and stick away. So To those who do it, it's fun to read some of them. I think you'll see a common thread in a lot of them that all kind of point to a similar scenario. That's where I would dig deeper and find the root of your why and work on that. So, Stacee, great email. Thank you for writing in for sure. Victoria writes in, says, "Hi, Dag. What an amazing week this has been. It is finally about more than the number for me. Before I weighed in this week, I was noticing a difference in myself, both physically and mentally. In the past, I'd always beaten myself up about the way I looked, whether I was up or down on the scale. I never thought I was seeing the results. These past few days, I've caught myself looking at my reflection as I'm walking through the mall or in the school, smiling. I'm nowhere near ready to end my journey, but to top all of this off, I weighed in this morning to find that I am down 2 pounds for a total of 17.4 pounds, and I have reached 10%. I am genuinely happy, confident, and even more determined to never be complacent again. Thank you for this podcast. Starting weight 166.6, current weight 148.8, goal weight 135. Good focus, Victoria." Victoria, yes. Congratulations on 10%. If you reach 10%, you just heard me say, if you reach 10%, you absolutely can reach goal. If you can notice the difference between how you felt before and how you feel now, both physically and mentally, you can reach goal. If you know that feeling good is an amazing accomplishment that you are in charge of, that you have the ability to change your entire life so that you can start feeling good, you have the ability to reach goal. Now, feeling good on this journey is where the complacency piece pikes in. But what I can tell you is feeling good and getting to goal feeling good are completely different. Getting to goal feeling good is about 2 to 3 times more powerful than the feel good you have now. So you think you feel good now? Wait till you get to 135. And when you get to 135 and you hop on that scale and you never, ever want to lose another pound again, you're going to be there. Now, how cool is it to walk into a random mirror and to love what it looks like? You know, random mirrors rock. And so for a long time, I loved my home mirror. My home mirror was nice to me always, but I hated mirrors that were out and about that caught me by surprise. You know, you could walk into a department store and I would catch a reflection of me, and boy, would it angered me. Now, just like you said, I see them and I look, I'm like, I like this. And so when you now can confront a random mirror that you didn't know was there and you can do it smiling, you're going to reach goal. So Victoria, keep up the great work. Welcome to goal. Now just get the scale to catch up and you're on your way. Sandy writes in and says, Mike, my response to losing 45 pounds feels so darn good. I have always been a quitter. I'm one of those who have joined numerous times but never followed through. This time, I realized that I might be depressed. I got help. I get rid of most of my baggage that I've been carrying since I was a child. Suddenly, Weight Watchers clicked. I've lost 45 pounds over a year and a half. It took a while as I'm 71. Metabolisms do slow down, but I decided to eat in a sustainable way so I can maintain the loss. I walk at least 8,000 steps every day, but always shoot for more. I do water aerobics, but since I have titanium knees, a right shoulder replacement, and I broke my left wrist last year, it's difficult to get up off the floor. But life goes on. I am truly blessed with Deb, my leader, my meeting family, as well as my Connect friends. I listen to your podcast when I walk, and now I hear you telling me, when you're out of points, stop eating points. It's quite often. So thank you for your service and for your service to us. I truly appreciate it, Sandy. Well, Sandy, I am honored to be your wingman. Thank you so much for taking me on a walk. Some days that may be the only steps I get is to walk along with you. And 8,000 steps a day, that's killer. I think I average probably 5 to 6, depending on the days that I run or don't run. But you're absolutely killing it. You are doing fantastic work. Folks, if you heard this, right? Here's Sandy is 71 years old. Let me go through here and read it. So we have a titanium knee, a right shoulder replacement, a broken left wrist, and you're still getting it done at 45 pounds. So don't tell me you can't do this. You can tell me that you're not ready to do it. You can tell me that maybe you don't know how to do it. But don't tell me you can't do it. Because as soon as you say you can't, someone like Sandy comes along and proves you that it absolutely can be done. So you can still be a quitter, Sandy. You said you've always been a quitter your entire life. That's part of who you are, sure. If you'd like to, you can always still be a quitter. Quit feeling lousy. Quit trying to lose weight. Quit being mediocre in life and be awesome just like you are. So if you want to be a quitter, there's opportunities for you to find things that you can quit and still be a huge success like you are. So thank you for that. Let me see when I would go here. We have to, sorry, I got distracted here, but we get some help. You get rid of your baggage because of your depression. So that's a good deal that you recognize that. You recognize how that impacted your journey. Once we get to the point in life where we figure out who we are and we accept who we are, that's when we have the ability to make the most change. So I'm glad to see you put that into your process and put that into your email, because the time that you took to identify that is what's carrying you forward. So keep up the great work. And, it's the same thing on my journeys. When I got to the point where I started recognizing that I could start taking selfies because this is just who I am, I accepted it. And I said, I'm going to love me however I am. And then I'm going to make the change to be who I really want to be. That's when it clicked for me. So it sounds like it did for you as well. So Sandy, great job. Thank you for your email. Keep up the fantastic work. Out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Jen writes in, says, I've just started listening to your podcast and you are already making a difference in my journey. I ate all of my dailies and some of my weeklies for breakfast on a Saturday morning. By using your phrase, when you're out of points, stop eating points, about a dozen times an hour, I made it through the day using only 3 more weeklies, and I wasn't hungry and I didn't feel deprived. I say it to myself with the same intensity, reason, and emphasis as you say it in the podcast. Well done, Mike. Jan. Well, Jan, absolutely. So here, this one is for you. Jan, when you're out of points, stop eating points. So you're doing amazing work. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. I understand the days when you wake up on a Saturday morning, you eat all of your dailies, and then you dig into your weeklies, and it's only one meal. Been there, done that. It happens. Just like you, I'm able to stay focused on the plan. The fact that you made it through the rest of the day using only 3 more weeklies demonstrates your level of commitment to this process. Now, I'm pretty convinced that the amount of food you ate at that point for the first meal of the day will carry you through the entire day for 24 hours, at least from a standpoint of, does your body physically need the food? You have enough food in your body to make it 24 hours. So you certainly could wake up the next morning and reset. Not necessarily a way that I would recommend working the plan by any stretch, but the mindset that we figure out is, I've had enough food. From this point on, let me balance the mindset and get me through the evening. By using only 3 more weeklies, you did a great job. Remember, you can always fall back on the 0-point foods, bananas, fruits, apples, and a salad, and you can do very well with the rest of the day, even when you get it done. So way to balance it, way to get it done, way to stay focused, and way to write in with your celebration. And that's what we always want to know, is that what is it that you're celebrating? Let's hear it. Let's share it on the air. The show revolves completely around your interaction, and you're letting me know what you're celebrating, where you're struggling, what you want to comment on, and your questions. I'll work them in as part of the show. Go to fatdag.com, click on listen now. You can also email in at onair@fatdag.com, but that is going to do it for this time. Remember, losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you good focus.